Hi, buddy. You want to play fetch? You want to play fetch? You want your pizza? You want your pizza? Come, go get your pizza. Good boy. Come here. Come. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're gonna head over to Val's house so we can do a little project on the Audi so that we can get it done, get it back here so we can detail it, and then head over on our trip. So the general idea is that I want a roof rack. They have those tool style roof racks that then bolt into the existing mounts that are over here that are meant for the roof racks, but they're really tall. I don't think it really looks good on such a small car. So my idea was to build my own, and I started out with some, it looks like about 1 inch by about 1/16 of an inch thick flat stock, and then we're gonna do a square on all 4 corners. And then because we don't have any way of either doing it out of aluminum, for one, we don't have any way to weld it, and 2, because we don't have any way to actually bend going across and then the other way any corner stock, what we're going to end up doing is trying to see if we can bend some of the flat stock to follow the curve this way and then weld in that flat stock. So we'll try that and see if that works. We'll have to divide it evenly, and I'll show you guys the technique if it's going to work. So stick around, enjoy the time lapse, a little bit of welding. We'll see how it comes out. Future goal for this is going to look pretty nice. Hopefully, I want to be able to put in some cherry stained strips of wood that go across just to make it look really classy, so that we can, you know, put some stuff up there. The car's really tiny, not a whole lot of space for storage and stuff like that. Plus, it's just gonna look really cool. Alright guys, quick recap of what I just did. I put in all of the ones that go across, and these ones, and these 2 that come across here front to back. All I have it in right now is just tacked in place. We're having some issues with the welder because for some reason it wasn't getting enough penetration, but after we got the settings down, the tacks actually came out really well. You guys saw that I put the welding blanket only on the windscreen just because we only have one, and I think I'm more willing to sacrifice the paint, which we can either touch up or buff out, versus the glass, which it'll just actually melt. The polymer on top of the polymer coating that's on top of the glass will actually melt, and there's not really anything saving that, the paint, whereas I can actually fix it. Next, what we're going to try to do is create the angled, to make it an angled piece of metal that goes across like this by using the other, pretty much the other flat stock like this, putting it upright. But the way that I'm going to do it, or at least the way that I'm going to try to do it, is I will grab the flat stock like this, grab a punch that's flat like that, and then I'll start it out in the middle, and I'll punch it about every inch or so up towards the top, because I want this bottom piece to stay the same. And hopefully what that's going to do is curve the top, and then the bottom as a wire will then follow. More of a curve I need, the more punches I'll put in, but I'll start out small, just at about an inch or so spacing. I gave it a little test run and it actually did end up curving it. So we're going to try to see if we can do it on a larger scale, and you guys can watch and see how it turns out. So here's the idea. Just like how I explained earlier, what I did is I marked out about an inch apart, and then I left at the bottom of the flat stock probably about a little more than the thickness of the actual piece of flat stock. That way what happens is all of the strength stays at the bottom, and then when I hammer it down into these cuts, the metal is then stretched out as you would do with a plenisher. And then what we did is I actually started from the center, and then I saw how the flat stock curved, and then where it needed more, then I would mark it out, and that's why you see all the Sharpie marks. Where it needed more of a curve, then I then put more cuts into it. It's not a perfect curve as it would go with the roof line, but what I'm then going to end up coming in and doing is putting my wood slots down and then cut to the thickness of the wood slots, and that's going to actually give me the curve all the way down. All of that on the bottom is then going to turn into just excess that'll cut off. It's still just tacked in place, but after we get the majority of it exactly how I want it, then I'll come in and fully weld all of the seams up. That way it doesn't flex and curve and get out of shape. So that's for now, and then we're just going to continue it. Alright guys, so I pulled it out here, and now after I've already tacked it all in place on the spot, and I made sure to get all the corners so that the mounting posts stay exactly where I need them to be at, I'm going to go around and weld up all the seams so it looks all like one solid piece of angle iron. Hopefully it doesn't warp it too much, but we'll give it a shot and see what happens. Worst case scenario, we'll kind of pry it in place, and then when we put the wood slots in, it'll kind of hold it into the shape that we want. So I'll put you guys back on time lapse, and we'll catch up afterwards after I grind it down and make all the welds look pretty. Just about finished. You guys kind of get the idea of what I'm going for. Welding came out pretty all right. It looks spotty, but it'll work. Just need to give it a good ground down, and then with the flap wheel to make it look all pretty. here's the general idea. We're gonna have these oak strips that go all the way across, and they're gonna sit on the inside, get tucked in like that, hide the edges. It's gonna be a nice little cargo rack. Just the staining needs to happen on the strips of wood. It's gonna look all cherry. I got the rest of it over here that it needs to get cut and placed on the inside of these channels that I built into the actual rack itself. Other than that, just needs more grinding down and the surface to be all nice and flat so we can get it all painted black to match the roof, and then we'll show you guys the final product, and hopefully by then the car should be ready. It should be done. I won't take you guys along as we go up to Leavenworth and have a little fun. So stay tuned. Any questions, comments, or concerns, anything for the good of the order, go ahead and leave it down below, and we'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks.